He stood at the counter, palms sweating, as the bank teller slid his withdrawal slip back with a smug shake of her head, saying his account was frozen. Little did she know, he held a document that would turn the tables, the deed proving he owned the entire bank. Wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's New York, London, or a small town anywhere else, stick with this story. It's a roller coaster of defiance, power, and a jaw-dropping twist that'll leave you rethinking everything you know about standing up to the system. He was Marcus Reed, a 42-year-old entrepreneur who'd built a modest empire in real estate and logistics over 2 decades. Known for his sharp mind and relentless drive, Marcus had a reputation for never backing down from a challenge. His latest venture, however, wasn't a new property or a fleet of trucks. It was something far bolder, acquiring a small regional bank in upstate New York, First Trust Community Bank. The deal had been finalized quietly, with Marcus purchasing the bank's holding company through a complex series of transactions in early 2025. Most employees, including the branch staff, were unaware of the change in ownership, as Marcus had kept his involvement discreet, allowing the existing management to continue operations. On September 10, 2025, Marcus walked into the main branch of First Trust in Albany, dressed in a simple navy suit, carrying a leather satchel. His goal was straightforward: withdraw $250,000 in cash from his personal account to fund a time-sensitive real estate deal. He'd called ahead to ensure the funds were available, and the bank manager, Karen Walsh, had confirmed everything was in order. Marcus had no reason to expect trouble. After all, he wasn't just a customer, he was the bank's owner. The trouble started the moment Marcus handed his withdrawal slip to the teller, a woman named Sheila Carter, who'd worked at First Trust for 15 years. Sheila, with her tightly pinned hair and a no-nonsense demeanor, glanced at the slip, then at her computer screen. Her lips pursed. "I'm sorry, Mr. Reed, but this account is restricted. I can't process this withdrawal." Marcus's brow furrowed. "Restricted? What are you talking about? I confirmed this with Karen Walsh yesterday." Sheila tapped a few keys, her expression unchanging. "The system shows a hold on your account. You'll need to speak with the branch manager." Marcus leaned forward, his voice steady but firm. "I did speak to her. She assured me the funds were clear. This is a mistake. Check again." Sheila's eyes narrowed, her tone sharpening. "I don't make mistakes, sir. The system is clear. Your account is flagged for suspicious activity. I can't help you." Marcus felt his pulse quicken. Suspicious activity. He'd been banking with First Trust for years, long before he bought it. His transactions were always above board, meticulously documented. This wasn't just a clerical error, it felt personal. "Get me Karen Walsh, now," he said, his voice low but carrying an edge. Sheila didn't flinch. "Ms. Walsh is in a meeting. You'll have to wait." "Wait." Marcus's voice rose, drawing glances from other customers. "I'm not waiting for something I was promised yesterday. This is my money, and I need it today." Sheila crossed her arms. "Sir, lower your voice, or I'll call security." The air in the bank grew thick with tension. Customers in line shifted uncomfortably, and a security guard near the entrance straightened, his hand resting on his radio. Marcus took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm. He wasn't just a customer fighting a bureaucratic snag. He owned this bank, but revealing that now, without proof in hand, would only escalate things further. He needed to play this smart. "Fine," Marcus said, his jaw tight. "I'll wait. But tell Karen I'm not leaving until this is resolved." Sheila smirked, clearly thinking she'd won the round, and picked up the phone to page the manager. Marcus stepped back, his mind racing. He knew the bank's systems, its policies, its weak points. He'd studied them before acquiring it. A hold on his account wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a direct challenge to his authority. Karen Walsh emerged from her office 10 minutes later, her heels clicking on the polished marble floor. A tall woman in her late 50s, Karen carried herself with the confidence of someone who'd managed First Trust through economic ups and downs. She'd been with the bank for 20 years, and though she was aware of the recent ownership change, She hadn't been informed of Marcus's identity as the new owner. To her, he was just another high-net worth client causing a scene. "Mr. Reed," Karen said, her smile professional but strained. "What seems to be the problem?" Marcus didn't waste time. "The problem is your teller just told me my account is frozen for suspicious activity. I confirmed with you yesterday that this withdrawal was cleared. So why am I standing here being treated like a criminal?" Karen's smile faltered. She glanced at Sheila, who stood behind the counter with a defiant tilt to her chin. "Let's step into my office," Karen said, gesturing toward a glass-walled room nearby. Once inside, Marcus sat across from Karen, his satchel on his lap. "Explain this to me, Karen. Why is my account flagged?" Karen pulled up his account on her computer, her fingers moving quickly. After a moment, she frowned. "It appears the hold was placed this morning by our compliance department. There's a note about irregular transaction patterns." "Irregular?" Marcus's voice was sharp. "I've been wiring funds through this bank for years. You know my business. What's irregular about a withdrawal I cleared with you?" Karen hesitated, sensing the conversation was spiraling. "Mr. Reed, these holds are sometimes automated. The system flags large transactions to prevent fraud. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Marcus leaned forward, his eyes locked on hers. "I'm trying to close a deal today, Karen. I don't have time for your system's mistakes. Release the funds." Karen's tone hardened. "I understand your frustration, but I can't override a compliance hold without approval from corporate. You'll need to provide additional documentation, proof of the source of funds, perhaps." Marcus's hands tightened around the straps of his satchel. He could feel the weight of the deed inside, the legal document that proved he wasn't just a customer, but the owner of First Trust's holding company. He'd kept it with him, anticipating pushback from the real estate seller, not from his own bank. Now he faced a choice: reveal his ownership and risk derailing the delicate transition process he'd planned, or play their game and jump through their hoops. He chose to push harder. "Karen, I'm not providing anything. You know me. You know my business. This is my money, and I'm not leaving without it." Karen's face tightened. "Mr. Reed, I'm trying to help you, but you're making this difficult. If you don't calm down, I'll have to escalate this to security." Marcus's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Escalate it. You're telling me you'll kick out a client who's been banking here for a decade over a system error. You're digging your own grave, Karen." The room went silent. Karen's eyes widened, not at his words, but at the intensity behind them. She didn't know who she was dealing with. Not yet. Marcus reached into his satchel, his movements deliberate. "You want documentation? Fine. Let's talk about documentation." He pulled out a folder, opened it, and slid a single sheet across the desk. It was a certified copy of the deed of ownership for First Trust Community Bank's holding company, with his name listed as the principal shareholder. Karen stared at the document, her expression shifting from irritation to confusion. "What is this?" "This," Marcus said, his voice steady, "is proof that I own this bank. Every branch, every account, every decision, including yours. Now tell me again why I can't access my money." Karen's mouth opened, then closed. She picked up the deed, her hands trembling slightly as she read the details. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. She looked up at Marcus, her professional facade cracking. "Mr. Reed, I wasn't informed." "Of course you weren't." Marcus cut in. "I didn't want the staff panicking during the transition, but now you know. So let's try this again. Release my funds, or I'll have your job by the end of the day." The threat hung in the air. Karen's face paled. She'd spent years building her career at First Trust, priding herself on her authority. Now she was staring down the man who held her future in his hands. She picked up the phone, her voice shaking as she called the compliance department. "This is Karen Walsh. I need an immediate override on a hold for Marcus Reed's account." "Yes, now." As she spoke, Marcus leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable, but inside, his mind was racing. This wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about power, respect, and proving a point. He'd bought the bank to secure his financial future, but he hadn't expected to wield his ownership so soon or so dramatically. The call ended, and Karen looked at him, her tone subdued. The hold is being lifted. The funds will be available in 10 minutes. Marcus nodded, but he wasn't done. Good, now I want a meeting with your compliance team. I want to know who flagged my account and why, and I want Sheila Carter reassigned. Her attitude was unacceptable. Karen swallowed hard. Mr. Reed, Sheila's been with us for years. She was just following protocol. Protocol doesn't include disrespecting the owner of the bank. Marcus said, his voice cold. Do it, or I'll find someone who will. Karen nodded, her face a mask of defeat. I'll handle it. Marcus stood, tucking the deed back into his satchel. I expect better from my bank, Karen. Don't let this happen again. As Marcus walked out of the office, the bank's lobby seemed quieter, the other customers oblivious to the seismic shift that had just occurred. Sheila, still behind the counter, avoided his gaze as he collected his withdrawal $250,000 in crisp bills, packed into a secure case by a visibly nervous teller. Word of the confrontation spread quickly among the staff, whispers following Marcus as he left the building. By the next morning, the compliance team was scrambling to explain the erroneous hold, and Sheila Carter was quietly reassigned to a back-office role. But the story didn't end there. Marcus didn't just walk away with his money. He used the incident to overhaul First Trust's operations. He implemented new training for staff, emphasizing customer respect and transparency. He also launched an internal investigation into the compliance department, uncovering a pattern of overzealous account holds that had frustrated other clients. Within months, First Trust's reputation transformed, earning praise for its customer first approach under Marcus's leadership. The twist: Marcus hadn't just bought a bank. He'd bought a platform to challenge the system from within. His ownership wasn't about personal gain. It was about rewriting the rules of a financial world that too often dismissed people like him. And that deed, it wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a weapon, one he'd wield again if anyone dared to stand in his way. So, whether you're in Chicago, Manchester, or anywhere else, take a lesson from Marcus Reed. When the system pushes you down, don't just push back. Own it. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and let's keep the conversation going. What would you do if you held the deed to your own destiny?